Please, Davido, Burna Boy, and Wizkid, come down for us. We are now coming. I love them though, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, it's interesting that you touch on those names. Of course, we know you've had a relationship or a history with Burna Boy in the past, and then you also had brief interaction with Wizkid. You've had a collaboration with Burna.
Yeah.
Why haven't we seen collaborations with Wiz or Davido, Shatta?
Well, you know, so the genesis of this whole thing was I met Davido first. He came to me, told me the dad loved like one song that I did way back, you know, and you know that's how come he fell in love with you know my music, and we had a very good relationship. But you know, life when things start moving and they move so fast, we just have to accept it, you know, and that's why come you know people don't see me in Davido that much. You know? With Burna is like my twin brother. You know, he came to Ghana at a time where, you know, things were a little bit rough, but I saw him like, you know, Nigeria, I'm a Ghana. So I feel every Ghana.
It's close.
Yes, you know, so I saw him like, so I just try and, you know, played a few parts, you know, around him. And now he's busy too, you know, so I'm just looking at the picture and go like, huh, Davido was busy, Burna is busy now too.
What about Wiz?
What about Wiz? Wiz is always a laid-back person.
Yes.
You know, the only time I had chance to meet him was when, you know, we had the show. Yeah, on the show, and it was beautiful. You know, and after that, I've been trying to, I think we had 1 or 2 times met around East Legon in my area, you know, with R2Bs and stuff, but I feel he's also busy, you know, and I also think I have a mission in my country to push the agenda of us going international. So I see all of them like my motivation. You know, I see them like, okay, if I've met these people and they've been able to break through, there's a way I should work towards my things. But I think gradually we're going to have some good collaboration.
Osana is a mad record.
Yeah.
You and your brother, Burna. Another record with both of you would be crazy, bro.
I know. But you know, me and Burna, you know, we're going back and forth on the internet some time ago, and I feel now we've grown out of it. So I think it's something that will come. The mom is like, you know, my mom, because no matter what, you know, I take his mom as, you know, my mom, because she's been advising us a lot those days. When Burna used to be in Ghana, she comes to see us and stuff. But I believe it's something that is going to happen. I just think, you know, in life, few things happen, you know, and you know, and things go the way they have to go. I always watch him and go like, okay, when I met Burna, he was always asking me, "Omo, how you buy this car? How you get this house? Na music?" I say, "Bro, na music." Hey, what? Like, Shatta, you did do too much. Like, you know, so I felt he saw the energy from what I was doing, because I was already good when he met me, and I made sure, you know, I held him down the way a brother is supposed to hold a brother. So now when I see him, I feel like, okay, let me just let him enjoy, you know, brothers fight, but, you know, gradually we'll come back and, you know, be family, you know. I don't think I've ever stood somewhere to say he's not doing good or, you know, he's done me bad or something. I feel, yeah, the internet, people always go or find meanings into it, but behind the scenes, I know from my heart, genuinely he's my brother, and you know, one of these days people are going to see a good collaboration from me.
Absolutely. Yeah. You talk about the internet, you become a master of the internet. If you are not on TikTok live with your face painted white or something,
then I'm doing makeup. You know, I'm doing makeup. You know?
Talk to me about you using the internet to basically speak to the world. It almost feels like you've cracked the code, and you know what you're doing every time when you're doing that.
Well, you know, I grew up with a dad who likes reading a lot and research, you know, so I think there's this book my dad introduced to me, The Richest Man in Babylon, you know, and one statement I loved about the whole book was, you know, you should always be aware of the type of profession you want to partake or put yourself into before you go for it, you know. And I feel music has been something that I know much about, and I've grown with it. So for internet to come into my picture, I saw it like, wow, then at least if I want to send a message, I don't have to work anymore. If I have to do anything, I don't have to stress anymore. Everybody is there to support. So that is how come I took advantage of the internet. And I found out that this is you know, I always tell people, these are robots that, you know, when you respect them, they'll respect you back. So I always put my things out well, you know, make sure sometimes when it's serious, it's serious. Sometimes when it's funny, it's funny. So I see the internet like a compound house. Like we are all staying together in the house and, you know, we have fights, you know, we laugh, we watch movies. So that is how come I've been so used to the internet. Like when you put a camera in front of me, I don't feel shy about it. You know, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I don't wear shirts and I want to do like, hey, Ghana, what's on it? And I know people are home, like, what's wrong with this boy? It's okay, you know, but I see like, you know, an environment where there is no violence, you know, where, you know, the law wouldn't find you wanting, you know, I've, you know, decoded the whole thing like a place where it's of like opportunity. A place where when you are, you know, focused on what you want to do, you can make it. Because gone are the days when we want to sell music, we have to travel all the way to America to bring our CDs and boxes. But today, if I can get a platform that says YouTube, that when I put my songs there, Jamaicans are going to listen, Americans are going to listen. Why don't I take opportunity? That's how come maybe I've been so much used to the internet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you mentioned Jamaicans there. Listen, your relationship with King Vybzkartel,
Gaza.
that relationship is, the love is crazy.
I know, man.
Super genuine. It goes back and forth.
Spiritual, man.
Initially, when you went to the Freedom Streets, you know, concert, festival, whatever you want to call it, a lot of people weren't expecting to see you there.
Yeah.
There was speculation.
Yeah.
Maybe Shatta was going to show up. Maybe he wasn't going to show up. First of all, talk to me about your relationship with Vybzkartel. How did it become strong? And then that trip to Jamaica.
So, my background of music, I would say, is more of reggae and dancehall.
Yep.
I grew up with a dad who always listens to reggae and dancehall. So, I was listening to from CJ Louis to Shabba Ranks, Papa San, you know, came back to Sizzla, came to, you know, the Morgan Heritage, the Buju Banton. So, I grew up with all these people, but once upon a time, I was listening to this song and I heard this voice, and you know, the way the person was like going, it was a different style of all what I've heard from Jamaica. And that was how come I found Vybzkartel. So I started listening to him long from home before I came on the streets. You know, I was telling my boys even, like every boy I see, like my team, I said, do you know Vybzkartel? They say, no, they don't know him. I said, no, he's a great musician like his. And that time he wasn't even at the top.
Yeah.
So fast forward, when I had his problem, you know, in Jamaica, I felt so bad. And he drew me back. Like, I was like, so who am I going to listen to motivate me more again? And so I took it to Instagram one time and I messaged him. Well, I knew maybe the management might or something. So I messaged and I was like, I hope God takes you out of this. And, you know, I just want you to know that you've impacted my life and you've, you know, got me to a level where God has blessed me so much. So anytime you have time, you know, just get back to me. And I had this agent from Jamaica who called me one time and said, she's linked to them and she can link me to one of his people. So I started talking to Sean Storm, that is Vybzkartel's 2IC. I started talking to him and he's like, okay, cool. He's going to get my message to Vibes and stuff like that. So I was always on my phone waiting for his message. Just one message, you know, for me to feel like he knows me.
He identifies you.
So I started, you know, playing songs about, you know, his freedom. You know, anywhere I go in Ghana, I talk about him. People don't really know him that, but I just say, let me hear you say free Vybzkartel and stuff like that. So I think one time I was there and he messaged me. And that was how the relationship started. You know, and for 9 years I was talking to him in jail.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, I kept telling him, like, I believe he's going to be out. I tell my friends, like, my team, everybody knows. I tell them, Vibes is going to be out. And they tell me how, but you know, his cases, I was like, no, this is a man that God has blessed. I feel it. And, you know, I'm spiritual like that too. So I was like, saying like, you know, okay, if he's done something bad, I don't think it should be that bad for him to be there. So I was always praying. So if you watch my DMs, I send him like Bible quotations. You know, I have like Bible quotations on my, you know, tattoos. So I send him some, I tell him to read some. I know by all means he might read some, he might not do, but I always tell him that I believe he's going to be out for me to see him. One time I went to Jamaica. I wanted to go and visit him. I didn't get a chance, but I kept pushing, because I felt I just see something different in him. Like I don't know.
And what was that experience like when you now finally went to that his concert at the stadium?
I feel like God came down that day. I felt like my visions were right. Yeah, my decisions, like, people saw me to be a mad person when I was talking about him coming out from jail. Like people saw like, no, come on, what are you saying? But that day I felt like, no, my name is Junior too. So I talked to myself a lot. So I was like, no, Junior, like all the things you thought about, this guy was right. Because today you're on stage with him.
Wow.
It was just that I didn't want to shed tears because it was a happy moment. But I was looking at him like, is this you? Like, because I was picturing that day, like I know, and I was saving towards that. I told my team that any day Vybzkartel comes out, I'm going to use my last money to go to Jamaica. Wow. Even if it doesn't invite me on stage, I want to be in the crowd and watch the celebration. But when I woke up one time and my name was on the flyer, and he didn't tell me anything.
And that's what announced you.
And constantly since then, that's what he's been doing to me now. He's been supporting some things I do.
You dropped the song, he did his own verse and posted it straight away. That's crazy.
Because a year before the year he got released, I sent him a prayer and I said, I know he's going to come out very soon. I don't know how come I told him that, but he should read Psalm 35. So when he came out and I got to the stage and I was seeing him in flesh, even though I saw him before the show.
Yes.
When I saw him like this, I couldn't take a picture with him. I couldn't, because I didn't want him. I've always told him that I'm a family to him. I don't know how related I am to him, but I know like in God's world,
you're connected.
Yes, so I couldn't take a picture of him when I saw him the first. So the second day on stage was when I was watching him. I was like, did I do my things right to meet this guy? So that moment was like some spiritual moment for me, and I love this so much because I didn't want to also go to stage and perform all my dancehall songs for him to see. I feel he's watched me so much. So just to grace the occasion and let him know that I appreciate him so much. And in Africa, when we appreciate people, we bow to them, because we know who kings are, and that's how come, I also bowed for him and told him, everything I wanted to tell him. And I think since then, it's been so beautiful in my life. Since I met him, my life has changed. Like things have gone on in my life. I've gotten like businesses out of it. A whole lot of things.
Vibes, the support on social media, the love is shown you.
It's crazy.
The question is Shatta bringing Vibes to Ghana? That is the $1 million question.
The teacher. I'm working on it. I'm the type of person that don't like to take advantage of people. And I don't want to get into people's space too much. I feel some people need privacy. And since he came out from jail, I felt he had his own plans to work things out. So I'm just waiting for the right time, even though I'm talking to some promoters to bring him down. I think yesterday we were here and Sammy, me and Bulak called me and he said he's speaking to some people to organize, a show in Ghana, because I really want him to come to Ghana and work as work, not come as, because Shatta, so I'm working on it for him to get, some good payment so he can come to Ghana and, also perform.
Enjoy. So, some of the biggest fan bases in the world are Beyonce, the Bees, Wizkid, FC, you've got 30 BG, huge fan bases. Shatta movement.
To the world. Shatta movement is #1.
Talk to me about that relationship, man. It's crazy. When I remember, when you had the situation with the government and you were held up, Sammy was outside. Even Sammy, he was under instructions of Shatta.
No, it's an empire. Shatta movement is an empire, And I believe now, the reason why I love somebody like Sammy Flex is that he's ticked like everything that I've done in the past years, and he's seen like the direction where I want to go to. So when I take decisions, even though he's the head manager for the whole Shatta movement team, he explains to people, because sometimes people don't understand my decisions. You know, they feel sometimes it's risky, it's hard, but he explains to people and no. So me with this government issue and stuff, we knew what we wanted to show to the world. Like wanted to prove to the world that yes, maybe you might watch me and feel my appearance might look like what you think, but that is not
In reality.
yeah, you understand? Because I know I've been tagged with names, you know, like sometimes when I watch the internet and I see people even telling people like I'm into drugs, like I do stuff. So I'm like, which drug? Now you go and cigar and smoke. I don't even take anything in your head. I don't even take alcohol like that. You understand me? But when people tag me in certain names, like I go like, okay, we need to prove them wrong. So like with this case in Ghana, with the Yoko case and stuff, you know, I think they did a mistake. You know, they made a very big mistake of, you know, trying to put me in, you know, a hole where I don't belong to, you know, because people say a whole lot of things, but where we are coming from, people don't do research. You can attest to it. In Africa, you know, we just speak anyhow. You see a small boy with a Lamborghini, hey, I'm on a blood medicine, like Yahoo Plus, you know, a whole lot of things, you know, but I believe that the people who knew my beginning are the people that are explaining things to people right now. Like Sammy, I remember when I came out 2005, he was the only newspaper that was putting me on his front page.
Wow.
Because he owned a whole, like, you know, publishing company. Yeah, so every time he's been promoting me. And sometimes I go like, but what does this guy see in me? And that was in 2004, 2005.
Damn. The first coming of Shatta's bandana.
Yeah, bandana.
Oh.
And he was the only media person pushing that my agenda, like, you know, because I was trying to put a Jamaican, you know, lifestyle, you know. But I've worked with managers. Meeting Sammy and him being with me here tells me a lot, because I sat down one time and I was like, why don't I go to this man? Because he was on radio and I kept, anytime I wake up, he's the only person I listen on radio. I don't listen to radio, but I listen to some flex, and I was like, no, I need to work with this guy. So for Shatta Movement to get here, it's not only by my power. We have, you know, our other, like, you know, teams. We have chambers, you know, we have the military chamber, you know, the streets, you know, we have a lot of things.
The streets is crazy.
So Shatta Movement is just like a mini country in Ghana. You know, we control our affairs, and, you know, what I always teach them is God. You know, that's why I always, if you watch my tags, you know, I tell people God is here, because I want people to believe that it's God that brought me here. Nothing added. I'm that type of artist that I'm real and raw. You know, I tell people, yeah, people have gone to shrine, but the things that we have gone to shrine to ask of, the shrine couldn't give us. So we chose God. Yes, you know, so it's just that we've built a religion that people believe in, you know, and I think it's working for everybody, because we see some of the fans come out and tell us that there are benefits of, you know, being with Shatta Movement. You know, yes, the music, but I believe we need to appreciate life, you know, and know where we came from and why we are here, and the purpose in this world for us to make it. You understand me? Absolutely. So it's been, you know, a whole, you know, big movement, and that's why people hear Shatta Movement and go like, hey, these people, you know. Yesterday I was watching Nas Boy. Yes, in Ghana. George Quay was interviewing him. Sabi, you know that George Quay? He was talking like me, like, hey, shut up. Nas was like, please, so I don't want problem. I said, oh, Nas, I'm not a problem person, you know. I know people have, you know, some crazy stuff. They feel, oh, if I want to talk about Shatta, let me be careful. Because he can wake up and say, hey, your mother, huh? Your father, huh? Wait. Those are all, like, you know, parts of, you know, what I like to do, but it's not that we take it to heart, you know. Yeah. It's acting, you know. I tell people, if I was in Nigeria, I think Sophia will even live the movie.
Now, you mentioned the fact that you're here. You pulled up